Hi, I'm Liam with Holyoke Tarot, and today I have a general reading, and we're going to do 4 piles. So, first one will be Waite with this cool shell. These are all just things I collected on beaches. Our Modern Witch deck is going to be this cool stone. Rainbow Tarot will be this stone. And then our fourth pile will be our True Heart Tarot. And that's going to be this black stone. Cool. Let's get into it. Let's see what comes up. Because my great aunt passed away and I was given some of her jewelry, and it's cool. But that one's a little big for the finger I have it on. That's okay. Alright, let's get into a groove here. That's how many cards is that? Is that all the cards? Let's see how this goes. I'm having a little bit of a weird weekend. We have our 8 of Cups. Queen of Cups. Interesting, I never pulled this card. Or this card actually. Knight of Cups. Lots of cups. 6 of Swords. And then the 10 of Cups. Weird. What's happening here? This feels like a lot of intensity. A lot of cups, a lot of cups, a lot of heavy emotional things, but not so, sort of so heavy, sort of not so heavy. This is not heavy. I don't find this card to be heavy. It's a little bit dark, but and then in this deck it's a little bit dark, but for me it feels like kind of like the last leg of a journey, like that difficult, like when you're hiking and the end sort of feels like the most difficult because you're tired and you've been going a long time. And in this one it's kind of dark. So it feels like there's a little bit of, I guess it actually doesn't feel that heavy. This card feels a little bit heavy, but maybe not in this instance. Let's see. Yeah, so I feel like you're moving through emotions, moving through cycles, moving through states. Yeah, you've kind of been on this journey for a while. And I think the Queen of Cups here, there's lots of babies on this card. It sort of feels like she's like looking at this thing and she's like, it sort of feels like she's like, I know something you don't know. Yeah, there feels like there's a sense of there definitely feels like there's a sense of movement through here. There's a sense of passing through different emotional experiences. But there definitely feels like there's some growth. Um, I think you should, for people who picked this pile. Oh, I didn't even say the thing about like um, picking up, pausing, and picking up. I just got into it. Like I said, I'm having a little bit of a weird day. Um, yeah, and then we have our knight here, which he's moving slowly. He's returning um, back. So it sort of feels like there's been some like emotional. It doesn't have to be purely like emotional. I think like also like water is like intuition, emotions. Like I do feel like it's a little bit of like trusting, like your intuition, your guides, your higher self, the universe, whatever thing you believe in. Um, yeah, so it feels like there's been this journey with the Eight of Cups, and then moving into the Queen of Wands, where you've sort of become someone who can lean on these aspects of yourself. Um, and then the Knight of Cups is sort of telling you that you're starting a new journey. And in this case, with the Six of Wands, it's definitely like, yeah, you're being carried across something here. Um, and it's in this case, it's sort of like maybe a little bit of like you're making it more difficult than it needs to be, kind of like you're carrying all this extra weight that's not necessary. um yeah, so it feels a little bit like that because surrounded by all these other cards, this card feels lighter, because it feels like, oh, you already have all this experience, you already have all this depth. You already know you can lean on your intuition, and you can come through these things. So this card is kind of like maybe just just be there for the ride a little bit. I wouldn't normally read this card as that, but with this very, very hopeful, like everything that you're wanting to work out is working out in the way you want it to. Family things are really great. Yeah, so with the ending in this card, it's making me feel like, yeah, it's kind of like interesting. There's quite the journey too, like in the backgrounds of all of these. It's like dark, and then you're kind of like on these cliffs by the sea, and then you're in the desert by a river, and you're traveling through a river, and then you're ending, kind of in this like pleasant valley situation. Um, so yeah, it definitely feels like you have what you need to cross the river. Um, you have all the tools. I think part of it is like releasing the things that you don't need to carry with you anymore, letting those things go, and kind of just being along for the ride. In this one, you could be the person who's propelling you forward, or you could be the people who are sitting here. Um, yeah, I think you can be the person that's propelling you forward, and just getting to the other side. And this is maybe what awaits you there. Um, and maybe you're a little bit shrouded and you're kind of huddled over because you get a little seasick. It doesn't have to be that the world is ending. Okay. So there is that pile. Let's move on to the next. And that was our seashell. Cool. Okay. What was our next one? Was this one? This is like a funky little red rock. And then we have our Modern Witch deck. 2. What is the energy for pile 2? What do they have going on? Few cards out of here. There's another one. This one. Alright, any more? Both of these? Okay, so a lot of cards for this guy, for this one. We got the Hierophant. King of Cups, more Cups energy. He looks very cool. 7 of Cups, lots of cups. King of Pentacles, interesting. Queen of Wands. Geez, King of Swords. Lots of royalty here. What does that mean? And in every element, every suite. Cups, Pentacles, Wands, and Swords. Mastering the elements. That's what I want to say. Especially with the Hierophant here. I feel like maybe there's some... yeah, it feels like maybe there's some way... This feels like... maybe you want to get into like doing some spell crafting or magic, and I feel like when like being called to that through your spiritual path, and I feel like there's some confusion on like what to maybe focus on or what to do, and this is sort of not being clear with that, you know. So if you're having some questions about like what's the best way to focus, it seems like you need to work on integrating all of these elemental beings, is what I would say. Yeah, so I think that means doing I think focusing really on the qualities of each sign of each suite in the tarot, along with the qualities of each element. I think that could be really helpful for you. I think also I think with sitting with each thing, so sitting with fire and meditating and contemplating, and sitting with water, earth, air, so forth. Because it feels like that's where you need to move forward on your spiritual path, is integrating the qualities of each suite, and of each suit, and the qualities of their elements, you know. And I think the best way to start would be, like those base elements. Start with all of those and see how that propels you forward on your path, on your journey. So that's kind of an interesting one. There's one queen, but the king is potentially like a non-binary person, and this one too. So I think there's like a little bit of floating around of both of those things. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Their thrones are really cool. This one's got like a seashell throne, which is really cool. In this deck, and the ram's heads, or not, the bull's heads, I would say. Lions in that one. And butterflies. Cool. Okay. Interesting one. I always say that it's an interesting one, but that's because it is. All right, let's move on to this one. So this is our Rainbow Tarot deck. Sorry, excuse me. This done. Alright, geez. Okay, hello. Oh, that's too many. It's windy out there suddenly. Sorry, I was hearing a weird noise. Many? That many? Okay. Alright, we have... What's this supposed to be? Oh, the Magician, right? Yeah, I've had that card before in this deck. The Magician. Cool. I like that card. Judgment. Star, Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Swords. Double sixes. Six of Swords. We got that in the other reading too. Lots of major arcana in this one. Yeah, the Magician. This is interesting because this is also like focusing on all those elements, you know. So there sort of feels like there's a theme between all of these in like, focusing on that like elemental power of nature and our planet and, you know, the way we exist and live. Yeah, I think that, let's see. Then we have the Judgment and the Star. Yeah, it definitely feels like you're kind of like moving through the way you want to, like, let's see. It feels like you're kind of like unlearning or like creating anew the ways you want to point your focus, and the things you want to pay attention to the most. So it feels like there's a little bit of like shifting in the way you create and in the way your reality comes into focus with this Magician. It feels like you have the ability to create whatever you'd like using these like basic things. And it's just a matter of focus, really, and pointing your focus. And I think there's a level of releasing the way you are viewed. I think you need to release the way you want people to look at you as a good person or a bad person, or previously as, you know, whatever way you feel like you've been viewed by others. I think you need to allow yourself to reassess that and allow that to become something different. And yeah, I think with the star card too, that's like you've kind of um, I think you're kind of at like you're in a little bit of a pause of deciding where your priorities are and where what you want to be devoted to. And then I think the Six of Pentacles kind of reflects that in a cool way, because it's sort of like deciding like who gets what thing, you know. And I think this can be a reflection of yourself, like which part of you are you going to feed, um, and which part of you are you going to like allow to flourish and grow. And then we have the Six of Swords. Um, which feels like it feels like a little bit of yeah, kind of in time, like in sync with all of these. There's a little bit of an element of like choosing to. I kind of want to say like with this card specifically in this deck, it feels like you're kind of like hiding something, or you're like taking something out to sea to get rid of it or to bury it or whatever. It could also just mean that you're like ferrying across this river, um, but it does seem like you've kind of lost something, or you need to be releasing something as you move through this period um, of your life. Pile three. Um, yeah, I think that's where we're at there. Okay, cool. I feel like this is kind of like a weird reading, but that's okay. I'm in a little bit of a weird mode, so that would make sense for that to be reflected. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to put these away right now. Okay. All right, let's move on to our last one. See how that goes. We have this black stone found on the beach. Let me shuffle these first. Messages do we have for our pile 4? For those who picked pile 4. Messages or insights do we have? All of those? Messages or insights do we have for pile 4? Okay, just these 4, yes. Oh, jeez. What's going on with me? Alright, so 3 of Swords. Princess of Swords. The 10 of Discs. And the Ace of Cups. So this sort of feels like a closing out of these and the beginning of these. So yeah, it just sort of feels like there's kind of a need to like shift and well, let's see. Yeah, it feels like you're really like wrapped up, like literally, you're really wrapped up in something, and it's taking a lot of bandwidth, and yeah, it feels like it feels pretty difficult, you know, to be kind of fixated and like tangled up in this way. But I like these two next to each other because this looks like kind of like she's slashing away at that, right? So it sort of looks like with the Princess of Swords, she's kind of like coming through and breaking away these barriers. If you'll allow that to happen, you know, and she's kind of showing you a way through these this kind of stuckness, um, which I feel like is I don't know. Since she has a scroll in her hand, I kind of want to say there's like a text or something maybe you need to turn to. Maybe there's some kind of like synchronicity there or something you've been like eyeing on your shelf or something. I think I would allow whatever that is to just come up in whatever way it will, um, and not force it too much if you picked pile four. But it feels like on the other side of this, there is some new beginnings. There is some um, like being held in your home, in your heart, um, by these really potent energies, and then sort of beginning a new journey. I feel like a lot of this reading to me, for some reason, all of these feel very like in tune with the elements for some reason. Um, I mean, for some reason, because we're reading tarot, but also just like more than usual. So it sort of feels like this Ace of Cups is calling on you, like you're ending. Maybe you're kind of like ending this fire cycle you've been in a little bit, and it's encouraging you to sort of lean into some water properties for you. So that could be leaning into different intuitive gifts or abilities or psychic gifts or abilities, leaning into your emotional experiences, um, and or maybe it's also just like a release of emotions and letting those move through you and flow out of you. Um, yeah, I think that's all we got there. That one's not maybe not super clear. Um, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Um, if you want a reading, feel free to go to my website or you can reach out to me on Instagram. My link's in the bio, or in the bio, in the description. And yeah, if you like these videos, feel free to subscribe, comment, let me know what you want to see more of, and yeah, catch you in the next one.